They slammed the handcuffs around her wrists with a force that drew gasps from the gathered crowd. Soldiers murmured in disbelief as she was shoved against the wall. Accused of the unthinkable crime, impersonating a Navy SEAL, her eyes burned with a mix of anger and humiliation, but she stayed silent. And that silence only made the suspicion heavier. They stripped her jacket away, revealing the tattoo on her arm, the trident of the SEALs. But instead of clearing her name, it fueled the fury. "Fake," one officer spat. "She thought she could fool us." Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The whispers grew louder, curling like smoke in the air. Some laughed. Others shook their heads, disgusted. To them, it was a cruel insult to every man who had bled for the brotherhood of the teams. Yet, beneath the weight of their judgment, she stood steady. Her heart hammered, but her eyes did not break. Deep down, she knew the truth. That ink wasn't decoration. It was legacy, paid for in sweat, blood, and silence. They dragged her into the hall where the Admiral was waiting. He was a man of steel and stillness, his presence enough to hush even the boldest tongue. The guards threw her forward, voices sharp and accusing. "Caught wearing a stolen mark, sir. Pretending to be one of yours." The Admiral did not speak at once. He studied her. His eyes drifted to the tattoo, and the air shifted. She felt it too, the sudden stillness, like the pause before a storm breaks. For years, she had carried that mark in silence, knowing one day it might be called into question. She had been prepared for disbelief. But she wasn't prepared for this moment. Finally, his voice cut through the silence. "Step closer." The words rolled like a command meant for soldiers, not prisoners. She hesitated, then obeyed, chains rattling as she moved. The Admiral's eyes locked on the ink, tracing not the trident itself, but the fine details hidden inside it. He knew what no one else in that room did, the quiet variations in line and mark that only those who had truly endured the infamous Bud S. trials bore on their skin. Gasps broke the silence when he finally spoke. "That tattoo's authentic." The room erupted. Guards stuttered. Soldiers froze mid-step. Some whispered apologies under their breath. Others stared as though seeing her for the first time. But she stood still, her head lowered, her chest tight with a mixture of vindication and sorrow. For this was not victory. This was a wound reopened. The Admiral's voice softened, though his authority never wavered. "You don't question ink like that. Ink like that is earned in surf and steel, in nights that feel endless, in mornings when half your brothers are gone. She carries it because she endured what most cannot." She raised her eyes, and in that moment, every soldier saw it, the grief tucked behind her strength, the cost etched deeper than the tattoo itself. And suddenly, the room felt smaller. The laughter that had mocked her now echoed like shame. But even then, she did not gloat. She didn't lash out or demand their respect. She simply said, in a voice that trembled yet held weight, "I never needed anyone to believe me. I just needed to carry it." The Admiral nodded, his expression unreadable. "And that's why it's real." For a long time no one moved. Then, as if bound by unspoken command, one of the younger soldiers stepped forward, removed his cap, and stood at attention. Soon, others followed, not in pity, not in guilt, but in respect, because honor isn't declared. It's lived. And sometimes, the scars we carry are the only proof we'll ever need. She had been arrested for a crime she didn't commit. She left the hall not as a prisoner, but as a reminder that truth has a way of burning through doubt. And that courage, once proven, never fades. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. And in the silence that followed, the trident on her arm shone brighter than ever. If this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more faceless stories of truth, courage, and the human spirit.